versus straight spine and how they combine and separate depending on the height at which we're standing. We want to maintain that alignment from Baihui all the way down to the center of the feet. And because we're going to bend a little bit more at the knees, then that means while maintaining that elongation of the spine, the tucking in of the tailbone, the stretching, the opening of the top of the head as I'm going down, my back will start to be slightly at an angle so that I can maintain Baihui aligned with the center of the feet. If I try to be too vertical, maintain the vertical line and the spine together, then I quickly reach the spot where my knee will either have to go further than my toes to try to go lower, and then that creates a lot of tension in the legs, or I'm starting to reach a point where I can't go anymore because all my weight is at the edge of my heel and I can't really go any lower without losing balance. So as I'm here and starting to come down, I want to maintain that vertical line from the head to my feet while maintaining my back stretch and not curving the lumbar spine, maintaining that elongation of the spine that way, and then coming back, which as I'm doing this, as I'm going lower, I have to adjust a little bit the hips so that I can stretch the hamstring and feel that they're supporting me and not have the tension coming from the front of the thigh. So as I'm coming here, I want to feel that from the sit bone, there's that little stretch that happened between the sit bone and the knee to feel the suspension under my legs. And by doing so, we'll also start to stretch just a little bit from the tendons, which when I release will give me that elasticity, that returning elasticity that helps me to go back up. So first, when we start the movement here, we're crossing at the wrist. We're aligning Neiguan and Weiguan together so that we get that connection from the internal to the external, and then from the external back inside. So we're going to start to become a little more aware of how the breathing connects with the rhythm of the movement. As I'm here crossing the wrist, I'll start my inhale, first filling up the lower abdomen, which will help to straighten a little bit more the lumbar spine, feeling the intra-abdominal pressure that fills up the whole area to give me a solid base. Feeling how from here, the lifting happening through the body connects with the thoracic, the back, the shoulder blade, and how the shoulder blades start to sink as my ribs start to open. So my shoulder blade sinking will have an effect of helping my hand to rise, my arms, and at the same time start to have that support so that I'm not compressing the front because the shoulder blade are sinking, pulling my shoulder and maintaining them in line, and starting to help the serratus to continue to have that thoracic openness that we've practiced in movement number 2. So as I'm here, I have all this happening. Then here the upper thoracic, and as my arms reach above my shoulder, that sinking and opening from the back continue to kind of pull my arm or my elbow towards the side, creating a spiraling effect through the arm all the way to the tip of the finger. So that I can have that openness all the way out, and then when I exhale, I just allow everything to come down and sink. So here, inhaling up. Exhale. So first abdominal breathing, then thoracic, upper, all the way up to Baihui, and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. As I'm inhaling, my back is filling up, and as my arms are reaching above, my elbows are opening as much as possible to come back down on the side. And then gradually, as I'm reaching again the height of the thighs, this is just where my elbows start to close in a little bit, just around, and have, like if I'm holding a big ball in between my arms here. So I'm kind of gathering the qi, feeling the connection with the lower dantian, feeling that stretch happening through the structure here, and that lifting happening through the breath, filling up the body as I'm inhaling, filling up all the way till the tip of the fingers, and then when I exhale, just the relaxation and the sinking happening through the body, all the way down into the feet, into the ground. Once it reaches the bottom, then it naturally comes back, which gives me that push for the qi to fill me up as I'm rising and connecting to the sky again, and allowing the sky to sink, passing through me, getting deep into the earth, so that the earth can bounce back and support me as I go up, so that everything feels effortless. That there's no, I have to go back up. If I'm here going down, and that my weight is supported by the front of the thighs, when I have to go back up, I have to force, and it doesn't look the same. If I'm using this to get back up, I'm forcing. There's kind of a fight, a slow fight happening against gravity. But if I'm using the stretch from the hamstring, from under, and I just get that stretch and I let the elasticity come back, feel how it looks effortless. There's that lightness to it. It's almost like I have to slow myself down so I'm not bouncing back up too quickly. Because if I don't adjust the speed at which I'm coming back, it's effortless and very quick. So I just have to adjust it a little bit so that it follows the rhythm of my breath, but it's not that I'm pushing with my legs to go back up. It's that I'm letting that accumulated energy be released gradually as I'm coming back here. So it's almost like if here I'm about to come and sit, somebody to pull it. So, I'm not sitting, so I'm not falling. And from here, I want to find adjustment of the hips, just to feel that little bit of a stretch under. If I'm rolling my hips too much, then all the tension comes in front of the thighs. If I stick my butt too much, there's tension in the lumbar, so it's finding that balance point between the two that will give you just that right stretch for the hamstring. Thighs are the front of the thighs, that's what we're looking for. And then for the hamstring here, we'll try to get that suspension like a hammock, because the hamstring tie up below the knee and then go all the way to the sit bone. So by maintaining the knee in place at the limit of the toes, that becomes our attachment point. And then the moving part of the hips, of the sit bone, can be adjusted to just stretch it out a little bit to feel that support a little more. If we pull it too much, we start to have tension here and we're being basically pushed forward. If we're too under, all the front of the thigh needs to hold us up, and it gets very tiring very quickly. But when we find that sweet spot, almost feel like we're already rising, and we can stay fairly relaxed in that spot up. Then when we need to move, we just stretch a tiny bit and let it go. Whoop. And now we're back. So it's really using the tendons like an elastic, that we're just stretching enough. If it's too stretched, not good. And if it's not stretched enough, it just dangle. The coordination between the lower body, upper body, and how to tie the movement of those two parts together. And that's, again, where breathing will play quite a big role, as it's through the rhythm of the breath that we'll find the whole cycle happening together. Basically, when I'm doing the movement, I'm not moving my arms independently from everything else, so to speak. It's the breathing that starts to fill the abdomen, it starts to fill the torso, that fills the head, that will guide my hands so that they can make the movement through it. And it's that's something that happened on the literal level, because all the muscles that are helping me to breathe are actually tied to my back and tied to the shoulder blade. So as soon as my shoulder blade is moving, it will affect the arm. So there's that full-on connection happening from the body and expressing itself through the arm within the movement. And as the structures stretch and go up, well, the legs just kind of follow and feel that rising and sinking motion, and they just tie up also with that rhythm that the breath is giving us. Another way to look at it is if I have something in front of me and I need to go over it. So as I'm rising my arm, I don't want my upper body to go behind, because then I can't jump over it. I'm jumping backward just because of that slight tension in the middle of the back. But if instead I have that stretch that's going up, and I feel that my back here is actually going over it, then from here I feel I can easily go and jump and pass over. So you want to get that feeling as you're rising up, although you're going vertical, you feel that it's your back that is lifting you, and so the front is relaxing and sinking. That's the notion of, monkey back or turtle back and sinking the chest. It's not that I'm collapsing in the front, it's that by opening my back, allowing the shoulder blade to go down and having the ribs stretch and open, since all the muscle that are opening my ribs are in the back, by that movement where the ribs are going up, they have an hinge effect on the sternum, and the sternum is actually being pulled downward. So I'm not pushing my sternum out, which would mean that I'm actually closing the back and breathing just in the front, limiting a lot of the space for my lungs. But on the opposite, I'm filling up my back as I'm breathing, which brings this part to relax and sink without collapsing the shoulder, because then I can't move my ribs. I have to maintain that openness of the shoulder and allow the shoulder blade to sink while this is opening up to the side and while the front is relaxing. And when you do this, you really feel that rising of the chi through the spine and the dumai, kind of pulling your head up. And if you're still relaxed enough, you feel that sinking of the lower dantian, that opening of Mingmen that pushes the sacrum and coccyx down, that connects to the leg. So you have from here that stretch up and down happening at the same time. So what's important to keep in mind is that the details that I'm giving you about what's going on is not something that you're trying to do. It's the description of what's happening, but if you try to think about all of it, you're never going to make it. It's happening that way because this is how the body functions. So we need to keep our attention or our awareness on something simple that gives us the general direction, and then let the body do what it has to do.